All right. Welcome to the Default Profitable Podcast, the show where we dive deep into real strategies behind building a consistently profitable business. Whether you're a founder, a leader, or just a curious builder starting to dream, this is a podcast that's really a toolbox for making profitability a default setting. I'm your host, Matt Nettleton. Today, my guest is Krystal Eicher. Krystal, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt.
No problem. So before we jump into the talk about your business, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am half of an amazing business. My business partner, Wendy, who could not join us today, is my other half. And we have Serendipitous Rebel, where we, through coaching and mostly consulting, because that coaching consulting dynamic gets thrown around and interchanged incorrectly a lot in my mind, but we mostly consult and help new online businesses get started. And we do that through strategic planning. And then we also are really well known for immersive business retreats. So kind of a different kind of mastermind model where we bring people in to solve your most pressing problems in the moment. And we do that through our business, Serendipitous Rebel. And we've been doing that for about 4 years that we've been in business in this iteration. But I have been a business owner for about 8 years. And I've kind of stumbled through different iterations of business for different reasons and different seasons that have kind of led me here.
So there was a lot in that.
Yes.
So tell me about, 8 years ago, what were you doing? What was your first business?
8 years ago, I actually owned a travel business. And I am a military spouse. And my daughter was born with special needs. She was born with severe brain deformity. And so going back to a traditional 9-to-5 after she was born was just not possible for me. And we moved every 18 months. And boy, they can spot military spouses a mile away looking at our resumes. We are a hodgepodge of all kinds of different things. And I had marketing and event planning experience professionally prior to getting married. And I was really itching to get back to work. I know there's nothing against being a stay-at-home mom. My closest friends love being a stay-at-home mom. I'll be honest, I hated it. I just really needed to get out there and have something outside of me. And I started doing some research, and somewhere along the lines, I think I was listening to a podcast, somebody said, oh, you could start a travel business. And I was like, oh, how hard could that be? Which is kind of my philosophy in a lot of different things, which is both a blessing and a curse of, oh, how hard
every
could that
once
be?
in a while, the universe hears that and they're like, oh, we can show you how hard this will be.
Well, we can show you exactly how hard it is, right? And you know, what was funny about that is I started my travel business and I had no problem getting clients. I said, I had marketing background. This all made sense to me. But I'll be honest, I hated planning travel for other people. It was the work that I didn't like. But it was through that iteration of business that I realized that I could actually be a marketing consultant, which was something that never occurred to me before, that I could do that and make a career out of that, and that people would pay me to do that. And it was something that I was slowly starting to phase into doing just for fun. I was actually mentoring other travel colleagues on how to market their business, and I was consulting, wasn't getting paid for it. And then the pandemic hit. And funny enough, that collapsed my travel business pretty gosh darn fast. And I had some decisions to make in that year. And I had met Wendy, my business partner, around that same time. And we were teaching marketing classes together in virtual summits. And really kind of thought, well, what if, and at the time she was pivoting into business coaching, she also had a travel business. And we were like, well, what if we were to kind of go do the things we really like to do and bring in some of those gifts that we're really, really good at and make a business of that? And that's kind of how we ended up here.
So I'm going to kind of walk through both businesses, but when you started your travel business, right? So we talked a little bit before the show, but episode 170 asked pretty much everybody the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, the conventional wisdom is before you start a business, you need to have 6-month savings. You need to
Yep.
have a detailed, focused, strategic plan and a clear understanding of what your prospects and clients will buy. So when you think back to your travel business, which of those 3 did you have?
Probably the last 2, but certainly not the first one. I was really flying by the seat of my pants. I
Yeah.
think that that's so funny now because I think we learned a lot of lessons in that. I learned a lot of lessons in that first iteration because I think people think, oh, just start a business. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that much to do. Well, frankly, it takes time, energy, and money to make a business work. And
Yes.
the big part that people forget is the money piece, the capital that you have to invest into your business to get it off the ground. I don't care what kind of business it is. It's significant.
Yeah. It always costs more and takes longer than you expect.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. So you start the business. It was going okay. Obviously, COVID hits.
Mm-hmm.
You find yourself, hey, nobody's allowed to travel anymore. We're not even allowed to go to the
Right.
grocery store.
No.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting because at the time, and the interesting thing about the way the travel industry works is that you don't actually get paid until after your client returns home from travel. Like you'll get paid commission from suppliers if you book like a Carnival cruise. Carnival's not paying you until that passenger leaves. So people work with you, and I don't know about you, but like I plan my family vacations 6 months out, 9 months out. So you forecast a lot of work in the previous year for the next year's travel.
Right.
So it was all of the work of 2019 that was going to get paid out in 2020. So it was an entire year's worth of work of itinerary planning, of working with clients. Now I had charged planning fees and professional fees, but nominal in comparison to what I was expecting on that back end. And I think I lost in about a 7-day span about $35,000, just poof, gone.
Yeah.
It was painful.
Yes. So you suffer a loss,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you decide the correct response to suffering this loss is to start a new business.
Well, and there was another business iteration in between these 2. And what it was a perfect classic example of trying to fix anxiety and stress by doing more, which is, by the way, almost always the exact opposite of what you should be doing in stress and anxiety, was that I got an invitation to start a membership model for travel agents and come and teach the marketing side of it. And again, classic thing of not being aligned with the financial investments that were going into this business with a business partner, not being aligned in the values and the direction and the goals and what is that we could get out of it. Okay. Just trying to throw something on the wall because I didn't want to feel like I had failed at the first iteration. Again, terrible reasons to start a business.
Yes.
Terrible reasons.
Yes.
But was fortunately a little bit more shorter lived in that iteration. It took about a year working in that model before the writing was on the wall pretty gosh darn clear that, yeah, this is not going to work. But when you are closing a business with a partnership, the disentanglement is a little bit more, it's much like a marriage. Okay. You can't go to the courthouse, get divorced, and everything's just done and you wake up clean the next day, right? There's disentangling of assets. There's disentangling of finances. There's this tangling of IP, of client list, of all the things that had to take place. I mean, I think when I walked into finally this third iteration of business, because, third time's a charm.
Right.
It really was walking in with eyes wide open of like, okay, what is the solid business plan? The business plan has to be solidly put in place, a significant capital investment, because this is what it's going to take. This is how long we can how long we can go before we are having to cut our losses or, again, turn the profits. We were able to turn a profit in this iteration within 6 months, but I think it's because we had all those robust pieces in place that I did not have the first time around.
Right.
Because again, you're just kind of thinking you're just going to figure this out, except life has a way of really teaching you those lessons the hard way.
It would be nice if there was another way to learn them.
No, well, it's true. And I always laugh now because I think when you start a business, you get all these ads online all the time. I don't know if you do. I get them all the time of like, oh yeah, it's, buy my $47 course and make $250K next year and we're going to teach you how
Yes.
to do all the things. And it's like, well, the math ain't mathing. That's not how it works.
Right. Right. That doesn't work. I know it doesn't work. You know it doesn't work, but nice ad.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. So you're in the travel business. You leave the travel business to start a membership business training. You leave
Mm-hmm.
that, and now you've started a business coaching and training company.
Correct.
Now you said there was a difference between coaching and what the two
Coaching and
and consulting. So
Yeah.
tell me how you describe the difference between those, because that was interesting.
I think that when you are hiring a consultant, you're asking them to give you their best advice on what to do. So when I'm putting my consultant hat on with clients, this is where you're asking me what's the best marketing strategy, and I'm going to tell you. You need to work on a social media campaign that has this much metrics. This is our KPIs. This is how we're going to break it down, right? Or your LinkedIn strategy or whatever it's going to be, right? There's 1,000 different things we can look at that. A coach is someone by default that is really there to ask you questions, help you sort of get to the answer internally on your own, right? When we're talking about our coaching hat, this is when we're dealing with more of maybe the mindset work or the other internal blocks that we might have, because so much of this running a business and being an entrepreneur is such a mental game of resilience and fortitude that we have to work through. But those are answers that are so individualized, I can't give them to you yourself. So that's my coaching hat. And when I think about coaching, we're very forward focused, right? But the consultant hat is really there to say, okay, I want to help you get the answer and get to the answer fast. And so that's how I would kind of distinguish between the two and how we distinguish between the two in our work. I think I work with a lot of online coaches, a lot of relationship coaches, a lot of um, divorce coaches are our clients and things like that. They will hire a coach who is really just a consultant. They're giving you their framework, their methodology, what they think is going to work. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that seems to work really well for a lot of people. But that's more, in my mind, consulting and less coaching you through it.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So if you go back to, and we're going to do this 3 times because you got 3 businesses.
Sure.
If you go back to the travel business and you think back to right when you started,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that you had to learn that you didn't think you would need to know as a business owner?
So much tech. And so I'll be honest, when I started my business, I didn't have a social media account. I'm not even sure that I ever really wanted one, but there was all of this internal, well, it was internal pressure, but externally put on of the things that you need to have in place, right? And a social media presence was a big one of them. And if you're going to do remote work like I did and have a business that truly is movable, you have to have some sort of an online presence. And one of the things we recognize as an online presence, first and foremost for a lot of us, is social media. I didn't have an Instagram account. So learning how to understand how that works and all of the algorithms and all the other things, that is never something I thought I was going to have to internally know.
Right.
I would say for the second iteration for the membership, really understanding the intricacies of partnership agreements and all of the things that need to be in place. I had a huge crash course in that. And I think that on one hand, I had protected myself better than I thought I did when things came to a big halt. But that was a huge lesson learned in understanding, again, how contracts even work. That was something that, as an employee somewhere else, I didn't have to worry about how contracts worked. I had to execute the contract. I might have had to execute part of the agreement or adhere to the contract, but I didn't have to write the thing. And understanding how that works, which I think then leads to the lesson I brought most into the third iteration of business, was the importance of hiring outside expertise to counsel appropriately in areas that were very much my gaps. So bringing in outside counsel to help with those contracts when I was closing down the business, but then bringing in outside counsel for CPA, for financial advice, for things like that to help iterate and look at the big picture of things, because my expertise is looking into marketing strategy and looking into funnels and tech and things like that. That's what I know. You don't want me touching your bookkeeping or spreadsheets otherwise, right? So I think understanding and being able to look at these are things that when you start out as a business, and I think this is a great lesson through all three iterations, it is really hard to spend money as a new business owner. Like, it's kind of scary to invest in
Yes.
certain things, right? And there are certain dumb things that we end up investing in because it's like bright and shiny and it looks like everybody's doing it. But there are boring things that you have to invest in that are significant investments, like lawyers and accountants and things like that, that now I do not hesitate if I have to call somebody. Like,
Yeah.
ChatGPT should not be writing your contracts. A
No,
lawyer should be.
the best advice that anybody has been given in 170 episodes is the two things that you never want to save money on are your attorney and your accountant.
110%. And
Like,
when
if they're
I
giving
look
out
back,
coupons, you don't want that.
no. And if I were to go look back, when I closed down the second business, that was more of a tumultuous closure. The only regret I have about hiring my lawyer is that I waited as long as I did to hire him.
Yeah.
Because once I made the decision of we're going to hire legal counsel, he's going to tell me and give me the direction of where to go and what to do. He's going to write up the appropriate paperwork and he's going to make sure all our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted so I can sleep at night knowing we're doing the right thing across the board. It was the best decision I made. I went from nights of not sleeping and of stressing and of like physically getting ill to like sleeping like a baby.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. So if 2026, Krystal could go back and talk to 2022 Krystal and say, hey, listen, this is your third go round, but tomorrow you're opening your business, right? By the way, there's a million things, as you know, that you can do on day one, but here's what you need to start with. What's the thing that you would say you need to do first?
Such a great question. I'm even trying to think what we did. Like there was this, well, because I think when I had started this business, it was like this like hard and fast closure, relaunch into this new thing. I think if I could tell 2022 me anything, it would be to slow down and enjoy the present moment of what it means to be in something new and exciting. And I don't think I did that enough in the beginnings of my business, whether it was through fear or anxiety. It was the third iteration of business. So by God, this had to work, right? There was so much fear of like, am I making the wrong choice? Am I stupid for doing this again? Should I just go back and work my 9 to 5? Like, what are you doing? Right. And I think that there was a ton of people around me. I'm so thankful that I am married to somebody who sees in me what I see or trusts my vision enough in things that he just like, yeah, go for it. Because I know not everybody is that lucky. And certainly the rest of my family thought I was flipping nuts as I was going through all of this. What? You're doing what? But I think that like sitting down and just telling myself that if you, as a competent person, which I believe that I am, have a vision and have a plan and can thoughtfully take the steps, you have the ability to execute. So enjoy the journey a little bit more. I think I enjoy things a lot more, and I enjoy the season of it more now because one, it's proven that it is working. It's a profitable business. It's doing all the things it needs to do, right? But I think that looking back, you're in such that state of uncertainty and of like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? That I think I was just hustling, and I wish I had just slowed it down a little bit to enjoy the presence of my life, not just in business, but my life around me at the same time too. My kids, other things and I think that's the big vision and purpose of Serendipitous Rebel now is that how do you create a business that supports your life, not the other way around? And how do you take stock in those things around you? And that was an evolution of us. And I think it came from lessons early on.
Yeah. I think that's, it's so easy when you have a business to become driven and focused and like, that's it. But, I got 3 kids and a dog and a wife and a house, and I got hobbies.
Yeah.
and it's important that you maintain those.
And it's
those
important
all
that
take time.
Yeah. Because that's why we're doing this, right? The whole reason we started our business was to not be chained to somebody else's desk, not to be chained to somebody else's 9 to 5. I think that the biggest things that I do now is I schedule in gym time during working hours. What if, I'll tell you 10 years ago, Krystal would never have done that. We'd have thought, nope, you need to be here at my desk from 8 to 5 because I think so much of the way I was raised was this idea that productivity and work were the basis of a worthiness, of a worthy life.
Yeah.
And really understanding the shift for me. And everybody's going to define that differently, right? But I have small kids. I have a kid with special needs who's had 4 brain surgeries in the last several years. Slowing down and understanding what's important. What is it that I'm working for? Tying the financial goals to that, hugely valuable and really change how I show up in my business now, but then how I teach my clients to show up in business as well.
Yeah. I mean, well, that we've just talked for 22 minutes.
Yeah.
It's all been great, fundamental, just fundamental, basic, good advice. Normally I would say, is there any other things that you would add? But what you just said, remembering why you're doing this is probably the best piece of advice you can give somebody.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
100%.
I mean, that's the thing. So, but I appreciate you being a guest.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I know. I feel like these are topics and these are things I could go on forever because if I could just drill into anybody, really understanding what it is that you want, where it is that you want to go to with this, and then building the infrastructure that supports that. That's the foundational thing. Otherwise, we're just living life or living our business for somebody else. And that's where the burnout and resentment comes in.
Three times you have mentioned doing more is not the answer.
Correct.
To not getting the result that you want, usually.
Correct.
And I always describe it as more is more and better is better. And those aren't usually related.
No, not at all.
So
it's the sake of doing more to say that we did more.
Yeah.
But in reality, and I have to remind myself of this too, when you're in that frantic push, the best thing you could do actually is stop.
Yes. Step back.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for people that are interested in what you guys do, there's a whole bunch of information in the show notes, books you recommend, links to social media, which you now have and obviously participate in.
Yes, right? I do. Yes, I do. Whether I like to or not sometimes.
That's
but
right.
Here we are.
Yeah. So appreciate you being a guest.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And for the people who are listening, 3 ways you can help. Leave a review, hit subscribe, share an episode. Until next week, we'll be back. Stay focused, keep working, stay profitable.